Hi there, my name's Brett, I'm the Director of Formition, and I'd just like to take you through a few features of Formition, the password safe that we've been making now for a few years. What you'll find is in this screen here, when you're first presented with the username and password section, obviously you don't have an account or a master account yet, so you've got to create yourself as a new user. This tip's pretty important. It basically says this is where you create one user ID and password to remember, so you don't have to remember any more after that. It's also very important that you choose a good password, because obviously you're trying to protect all your other passwords, so this needs to be quite secure. So just for this example, I'm going to create a username called test, and the password is going to be test uppercase 101. You can see that it actually tells you that that strength is quite bad. You get a little indicator that there's a match. We use this password strength throughout the whole program to rate your passwords as you go. So obviously using a combination of uppercase characters, special characters like the $key, hash key, @key, numbers, lowercase letters, and the longer it is, the more secure it's going to be. Now you can set a reminder here. I don't recommend that you do that, but obviously some people will have issues, so try to make this a message to yourself if you did forget your password. One thing that we can't do with this software is reset your password. That would make it completely unsafe. So you need to be able to remember your password yourself. So this is your last line of defense if you happen to forget your master password or you change it and you can't remember what it is. So if you're prone to be able to do that, you need to put a reminder in there for yourself. It's something that only you would understand. There is a couple of tips here. Basically, we make you understand that if you forget your password, that we can't help you. You know, you have to remember it. That's the whole part of having this password safe, is that it needs to be secure and only you can access it. We also have some terms and conditions, pretty standard. So once you've registered, it'll log you in automatically. You've now successfully created a new password safe. I'll take you through some of the tools. It also creates a new category called web passwords by default, which is quite handy. So in this case, I was actually on the website comedy.com, and I was creating a new user called testuser72 with testuser72@comedy.com's email address. So let's create a new entry. So when you're actually creating a new password for a website or for anything, or if you've got an existing password, you basically put it in like this. So you put in your name, you put in the link to the URL, so http comedy.com, a bit of a description, a site for laughs, and here's where you put your username, because obviously a lot of people forget their username on websites as well. Now for password, what I'm going to do is just have Formition randomly create one for me. I'm just going to keep going until it's actually quite strong. Copy that, paste it into the password field, put my first name and website, optional, accept the terms and conditions, and we're done. So that'll create that account on comedy.com, but what's important here is now that I save that, that goes into my list of passwords. You can create other categories. So if I create a new category called work passwords, and save that, that new category will now exist in here. So work passwords, web passwords. Gives you an easy way to be able to categorize your passwords so you can quickly access them. But another really fast way, and something that I use all the time, is this search area. So if you've got hundreds of categories, hundreds of passwords, you're looking for comedy, this won't really show up the power, but if you just go KOME and hit go, that one will come back. You can also search for any of your usernames that you've been using. So we know that testuser72 is in there. If we hit user, it'll find it. So it's a really fast way to be able to quickly find the password that you're looking for. If you've got a superannuation account, you just go super, and you don't have to use the full word, just very quick part word. So it's basically trying to find an exact or a partial match. So it's a very quick way to be able to find your passwords quickly. When you see the one you want, you can either double click on it, and by default you want to have that password hidden so that you can actually enter these passwords and retrieve them while someone's looking over your shoulder. The other options in here is you can actually use this launcher program. So this little pop-up box is really quick to be able to get to that website. So this will actually stay on top of the screen the entire time, and you can move it to wherever you want. And if you click on the web page, for example, here, you'll see that you're able to use it. So I guess the beauty about this little box here is you've got some tools here that you can actually use, such as this one will launch the website in a new browser window. And what you can actually do is, if there's a login screen, I'm being automatically logged in here, but if there's a user ID and password screen, you can actually drop and drag that into the user ID and password box. And you can do the same with the password as well. Okay? So you kind of get the idea. So this is quite quick to be able to do it. You can also copy the user ID and password to the clipboard if you prefer to do it that way. And if you realise that when you're on the site that something's wrong, like the website was missing, just click on edit, it'll quickly go to that page and you can then modify it. Now there's a couple other features. You can actually change a category's details, kind of more advanced. So if work passwords, let's say for example you didn't use name, website description, you might have server name, or you might have domain name. So you can actually change these to be whatever you want. You might not have username, so you can modify that, and that every category under there. So if we change this to, instead of username, we'll call it user ID. And when you go to work passwords, go to create a new entry, you'll see that this is now user ID. So it renames that field throughout for all these categories. You can also actually change this to a different category quickly up there. But yeah, definitely the randomly create password is definitely a strong feature, and something that I recommend. You don't want to have the same password for two sites. If that one website is compromised in any way, and a lot of people use the same password for up to 10, even 20 sites, but you don't want to have your important ones like mail or your work accounts having a shared password that you use on something else that's especially web-based and maybe not as trustworthy. So, okay, that's a little intro for today. I hope you enjoy that. And look, this password's been used for a long time. Works with Windows 7, 64-bit, and 32-bit. So we've spent a lot of effort in putting in a few little preferences. You can manage your master account here. As we said at the beginning, this is the one user ID and password you have to remember. You can back up your database. You can actually save that and restore it. So that's really useful if you're changing computers. You can check for upgrades. We monitor bugs and things like that, so we try and put fixes in, and the registration ID. So the software does cost money. It's $29.95, but in return, we'll maintain it. We won't sell it to an offshore company. We're Australian based, and we've been doing this for a long time. And we just want to make sure that we're a company that you can trust, you can rely on, and we want to be around for a long time. So thanks for listening.